Hi everyone, welcome to GM Chess channel. In this part 3 video of the Queen's Gambit decline variation, we'll conclude the QGD lines with all the sidelines that white players can play. Part 1 and part 2, they mainly deal with the main lines, and here I'll conclude this video with all the sidelines that white players can play. Obviously, covering up all the options is not very easy for me, so whatever is considered as dangerous or something that you should know without knowing it, that you can get into trouble. Those are the lines that I mainly want to cover. So let's get started with this: d4, d5, c4, e6, nc3, nf6, nf3, bishop e7. And this is a position that we have reached in our earlier videos as well. Bishop g5 is covered in the first part, and bishop f4 is covered in the part 2 video. And here we'll deal with queen c2, an interesting try for white. The best way for black to deal with this, to immediately strike in the center without any delay, because queen c2 can be also seen as not a very useful developing move. Queen c2 is more of a waiting move from white side, trying to identify what exactly black wants to do. So not a very committal move. So c5, immediately striking in the center. There are two ways for white to meet this. One is dc5, the other one is cd5. Both the moves are played in this position, and dc5 remains as the main move. cd5 is not really that dangerous. After cd4, knight d4 and short castle. Here, obviously, like the d5 pawn can be recovered anytime. Bishop g5 is considered as the critical test, and after h6, we are not scared of bishop f6, because we regain the pawn back, and we are preparing for knight c6, and I think black should be able to fight back from this position onwards. We have the bishop pair for the isolated queen pawn that we have. That should compensate without much difficulties. And after bishop g5, h6, bishop h4 is the next move. And here, it's a very interesting idea here. Knight d5, bishop e7, queen e7, knight d5, cd5, ed5. And the point is, white is happy to enter this position because black is still left with this isolated queen pawn. But the point is, black is also like, black has good development in this position, and white is still yet to complete his castling. 2 more moves are necessary, and without any delay, black comes out for the attack. You have to strike immediately without any delay. And rook d1, bishop g4. This is a game that was played between Akopian and Yakov and Co. back in 2008, and I think black already got a very fine position, followed by, and black should be at least equal, that's for sure. So cd5 was never really that dangerous, and after queen c2, c5, dc5, d4 is the most important move, followed by e5, another very important move from black. Not fearing the loss of pawn in this position with knight into e5, because we have a6 followed by short castle. Now the point is, as you can see, the knight on a3 is completely misplaced in this position, and black will recover that c5 pawn next, and certainly he has good lead in development. Queen c2 move cannot be considered as a useful developing move. Knight on a3 is already terribly placed for white, and there is a game that was played between Kalifman and Topalov that continued with g3, queen a5 followed by queen c5, and at this point, yeah, black pretty much took over the initiative around this point, and yeah, this position should be like more or less a clearly better position for black. I think with these lines, these two games, Akopian, Yakov and Co 2008, and this one, second one between Kalifman and Topalov in 2002, these lines probably conclude these lines with queen c2. The next important one is e3. The point is, white delays the development of the bishop on c1. I mean, he doesn't delay. He probably doesn't want to develop the bishop outside the pawn chain. He wants to play b3 and bishop b2. This is a common plan that has been played by white players. This is very close to the Kale system. Some similar plans and ideas, and black players should know how to handle this. So I'll break down this one into two parts. One is, certainly he's going to play b3, bishop b2. This is for sure. Bishop d3 is also sure. Now after castling, knight's placement on c3 or knight's placement on d2. This is basically decided. These are the two plans that white players have. I myself have played this from white's perspective. I used to be like super confident when I used to play this structure from white, because if black doesn't know the plan, then usually black gets into trouble very fast. Let's start with ND2 plan after some natural moves from both sides. Yeah, I think we have a symmetrical position here, and at this point I think there is a game between Nakamura and Caruana that was played in 2017 here. That game went with rook c1, and Caruana showed a very simple and straightforward way to play with this hanging pawns. And I think I talked about this hanging pawns in my earlier videos as well, the part 1 video of the QGT lines. And hanging pawns, as long as you have enough minor pieces to protect the pawns, black doesn't have anything to worry. And the following plan was played by Caruana. And stopping knight f5 stuff, making sure he keeps the bishop at any cost, because the bishop on b2 is quite dangerous in the long diagonal. And bishop b5 a6, bishop a4 was simply met with knight e4, not fearing the isolated pawn here on c5, because black generates counterplay with knight e5. And yeah, knight d3 is coming in, and this clearly compensates for the isolated pawn that black has in this position, as well as bishop takes e8 in this position, like not to forget the pressure that's mounting on the king side as well. So this game clearly concludes this NBD2 system, and obviously like there are so many other plans and ideas that white players can always play, but generally this plan should be like quite simple for black to follow. So after b3, bishop b7, bishop d6, short castle, and bd7 followed by queen e7 and c5. And knight c3 is probably the main line in this position. Once again the same plan. Again bishop d3 followed by bishop b2. Here I think we'll reach this position pretty much easily, but black's plan from here should be like very important. Note down, black doesn't play c5 in this lines. He plays a6, and after a normal move like this, queen e7. And the point is, again, anytime white takes on d5, it will be taken with ed5 obviously, and c5 is never played. This is another game that black player played. Look at this, knight g3 always met with g6, covering up the f5 square, and now basically black starts the attack on the king side with h5. One of the key points to remember is that when we delay c5, that means the bishop on b2 is finding itself within this pawn chain, blocked by its own pawn, and without c5 it's very difficult for the bishop on b2 to become active in the long diagonal. And because of this, black's position seems to be quite comfortable. Adams have played a few games in this structure, and I think he has like tremendous success. I found many of those games where he ended up winning from black's side. I think it's very comfortable in this position for black. Such a strong knight on e4. I think now he played c5 anyways, and I think it makes sense. Like he grabbed so much more space, and such a strong knight on e4. Now bishop on b2 is really like not really threatening black in any way. I think these lines also conclude the b3 bishop b2 plan, which is very close to Corday system. So these are the plans that white players can play, and I have also mentioned some brief plans for the black players to remember. Whenever I talk about certain model games, just make sure you note that down and remember those details. It will be easier for you guys once you remember those plans. And yeah, the Queen's Gambit declined. At least the basic theoretical part comes to an end. When I'm posting the future videos, I'll be talking about some of the model games. But to begin with, I think enough of QGT as of now, but we'll talk about other variations. But until then, I think we can wind up this video with this, and I'll see you all in another video then.